Hey guys, so today we're going to go over value scales. I know you guys went over it a little bit yesterday with the notes, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth and you're going to sort of follow along with me. Sorry for my cat. Um, so this is a value scale. You start, well, I mean, it could go either way. You could start with shade or you could start with tint, but it always goes from one to the other. Tint being the lightest, shade being the darkest, and tones being those sort of grays in the middle. When you're making your value scale, I typically start with the very darkest you can go, like with your pencil, just go as dark as possible, and then the second lightest. Because if you sort of go from the darkest to the second darkest, you tend to end up with a pretty dark color here. And then you would just end up with like a super long value scale, but you don't want it to be that long. So you start with the darkest, then go second lightest, as light as you can go with your pencil and sort of work your way in between. Then you're going to do a blended value scale, which is just like the one up here, except you're blending them all together. You can sort of see how they match up with one another, right? And the second lightest is as light as you're going to go. This box here is paper white, so it's literally just the color of the paper, because that is as white as you can go. So this is technically blank, and so is this last part of the value scale here, but we're still showing all of the values you can get on this page, which is why it's important to leave the white of the paper there. So after you do those two types of value scales, you're going to do 3 more. Your rectangles don't have to be perfect. Clearly mine are not. The first is going to be hatching. Okay, hatching is when you're shading with a line. So in order to do a value scale with hatching, you're going to draw your lines super close together. Sorry. Because the closer together your lines are, the less white of the paper you're going to see, which is, this is Mabel. She really wants to say hello. She is just a few months old, so she's real playful. But again, the closer your lines are together, the darker it's going to appear, like this. So if I zoom in, you can see, hold on, maybe, there we go. They're just really close together, lines. And then as you go along, you're just going to make them sort of slowly further and further apart until it is all white. But you can go along with your blended value scale, so that's what I'm going to do, and start making them further apart, sort of where it ends there. So now I'm going a little bit further apart. And you can see how it's starting to look a little bit lighter. So you sort of get the idea. It gets lighter because the lines are getting further and further apart. Okay, next, cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is just like hatching, but it's your lines are going to go perpendicular. So you're not only just doing lines in one direction, like the hatching, you're going in two opposite directions. So you see I have my lines going diagonally like this. Okay, so for cross hatching, you're going to go in both directions. Sort of like making a lot of the letter X over and over and over again. Okay, and just like the hatching before, you're going to keep going until you are all the way light on this end. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the stippling one, just for time's sake. You're going to finish this, and I'm gonna post a picture of what it looks like finished. I'm just not going to do it in this video. Next is stippling. Hold on. I can't remember if stippling has 2 P's or 1. I think it's just 1, but I'm gonna make sure. Nope, 2 P's. Stippling. Stippling is dots, essentially. It's really annoying, and this is the only time I'm ever going to ask you to do any sort of stippling, and I feel really bad for the substitute because she's going to have to listen to you do this. But really, it's just a lot of dots, okay? And again, just like the lines, the closer you are together, the darker it's going to be. Try not to press too heavy, like this, you know, because that's just obnoxious. You don't need to be that heavy-handed with it. Just sort of take your time with it. It is super tedious, so maybe you finish this later, or you just do enough to get the idea of stippling. But again, it's just lots of dots, and the closer they are together, the darker it's going to appear. Okay, and then finally, we have a fun one. I guess they're all kind of fun. It's called scumbling. Scumbling is essentially sort of scribble shading. Okay, so you're just going to sort of do all types of crazy lines, right? And just like the other ones, the closer the lines are together, the darker it's going to appear. So then you're sort of going to make them a little bit further apart and even further until they're not really close together at all. All right, scumbling. So all together, zoom back out. I guess that's as far as it's going to go. All right, focus back up, please. Close enough. You're going to have your regular value scale going from shade to tint, and then tones in the middle. Then you're going to have your blended value scale, your hatching value scale, cross-hatching value scale, stippling value scale, and lastly, your scumbling value scale. Okay, submit a photo of this for credit, and if you have any questions, please Schoology message me.